Hello, my name is Kwena Moabelo. I'll be talking to you about personal branding. Now, branding is very important, and especially for association. You know, when you look at, for instance, as an ambassador, people always want to talk about brand association. And what does this mean in the bigger scheme of things? But also, what is a brand? What is a personal brand? When you talk about a brand, like a Bonang Mateba brand, a Casper Nyovest brand, what does that mean? And does it also or only apply to famous people? Or can you, as an individual, be a brand too? And if so, how? Right? So, people often talk about wanting to improve their personal brand. Because you know what a business brand is, right? People talk about influencing. Lately, everyone wants to be an influencer. But do you ever think about branding yourself? Because the idea itself is, well, unusual. Dressing well, looking well, having manners. Is that branding? In this day and age of technology, the things that you do or say remain on the internet, remain. People will always remember the things that you did and you said. The internet doesn't forget. Like, for instance, if you Google your name right now, what will you find? You're more likely going to find a tweet that you posted 10 years ago. We've seen recently a contestant for Miss South Africa having to leave because of the things that she said. So that forms part of branding. But as a brand ambassador, you get to leave the brand because you then influence. You're part of the brand, whatever it is. If you want to be a brand and a brand ambassador, you have to leave the brand. You have to drink beer. You can't be somebody who doesn't drink beer or wine and then become a brand ambassador wine. If you want to be a brand ambassador sports, you have to be sporty. You know, you can't say to a sporting brand to give you clothes so that you can be their influencer and be part of their brand, whereas you're not sporty. So in this instance, what I want to talk to you about is simply the idea of keeping yourself as a brand. A brand is how people want to see you. You know, there are things that you will never see people who are famous doing. And they do these things, like going out and drinking. They never post those things, but they do it. They do other things that you and I do normally, but you never see them on social media. They only show you what you want to see, because that speaks to the idea of branding. Now, what is your personal brand? That is a question that you need to ask yourself going forward. And what does it mean to be a brand? A lot of you will be ambassadors. A lot of you want to be ambassadors. But what does that mean? And I think that's where you need to start. As an ambassador, how do you effectively live the brand, promote the brand? Remember, it comes down to you as an individual. As Kwena, right? What is my brand? A sports person, a sports presenter, a radio personality, a father. So there's a whole lot more that I would love the world to see and know about me as a brand. But if Comrades Marathon comes to me and says, Kwena, we know you run and we want to be a brand ambassador, I have to leave that brand. I have to run the Comrades Marathon. I have to know and understand the spirits of Comrades Marathon and what it stands for. So in this instance, your personal branding, and especially in the world of beauty and modeling and contests as you wear, it's about living what the brand wants you to be. Zosbini will always be Miss Universe. because that is the brand that will be associated with her. She will always be a Miss South Africa. And Zosbini, for instance, came with something completely different. Completely different. She did not have a weave. She did not have your typical good-looking woman. She's a pretty woman for all intents and purposes. But then when we described the issue of beauty before, it was not something that was, well, welcome. So she had to create a certain brand around her. Now you look at some of the contestants now for the current Miss South Africa. Look at Shudu, Onalichiskop. That is already her brand. The day she shows up ka weave, people are more likely not going to recognize her. So when you create your own brand, think of those things. How do you want the world to see you? How do you want the world to remember you? But also brand association is important in that, can you live the brand? Do you understand what the brand stands for? And more than anything, the values of the brand are very important. So as an ambassador, if you want to be an ambassador, you have to understand that brand. You have to live that brand. You have to be that brand. And that means you need to be careful what you retweet, what you post, because those things reflect on you. And you know, in social media, we're very quick to retweet. Something is funny, something is a joke. You retweet. Somebody posts a naked picture, somebody's beating somebody. We retweet. We do those things without thinking. So next time, before you hit that retweet or the like button, think twice. Does it speak to the brand that I am? Does it speak to what I want to be? Does it speak to what I want to do? Does it speak to the representation of my brand? For now, that's where I'm going to have to leave it. Just think about how you want the world to see you, how you want the world to view you. When you walk Kostrate, what do you want the people to see? What do you want the people to say about you? That is your brand. Create it, live it, and that way you leave a legacy. And finally, let me say good luck to everyone, in the contest. And just by participation and being part of this, I know you're already winners, and I know a lot of you, this means a lot to you. And stay strong, hang in there, but remember, your brand is what represents you. Your brand is definitely you. Thank you.